It's really fun when you get to come to something like this and introduce someone who's become a good friend. And Cordia Harrington has certainly become a good friend of mine and of our program, and really is a good friend of all of us who teach entrepreneurship. She has opened herself up and visited many universities, and she comes into our classes all the time and allowed us the honor and pleasure of writing a case study on her business that I hope many of you see us present on Saturday at 3:30, which is also the time the Packers kick off. So I may or may not be there at that point, but I know my co-author will be there presenting that case. And we're so thrilled to have someone like Cordia, and just the time and the generosity she gives to our students is just incredible. I could read a biography of her and bore you to death, but it's in there. But I do want to do one thing. I want to read a little bit of a snippet of something someone wrote about her, reflecting on his year in 2007. He says, I quote, "Throughout 2007, I was also grateful for the opportunity to meet entrepreneurs like Cordia Harrington. A little more than a decade ago, Cordia was a single mom with a dream of starting her own company. Today, she owns a thriving bakery, employs more than 200 people, and calls herself the Bun Lady. One hot day last July, I flew to Nashville to see her factory and meet Cordia. I found a strong spirit of enterprise. Risk-takers like Cordia create jobs and opportunities for their fellow citizens and show the world the power of the American dream." I couldn't say it better. These are the words of President George Bush, who went and visited Cordia and her business and really thrilled the entire city of Nashville and made us so proud that he would pick her business to be one to showcase as truly an example of the spirit of free enterprise and women in free enterprise today. So it is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker this evening, Cordia Harrington.
Thank you. That was so. Thank you. Good evening. I am so excited to be with you here in San Antonio. What fantastic weather we've got. Did everybody have a good trip in? Okay, now you got to liven up a little bit. I'm so nervous being in front of all you fancy pants professors. So if you teach entrepreneurism, stand up. Show me who you are. Okay. If you are an entrepreneur, either keep standing or stand up where you are. Okay, fantastic. Well, I am so honored to be among you talented folks. You are helping so many people realize the American dream, and I applaud you for that. In fact, applaud yourself. Give yourselves a hand. I told you I'm a little intimidated. Well, if truth be known, I am the first in my family to graduate from college. I have my high school principal, Dr. Smith, to thank for the little whisper that said, "You need to go to my alma mater, University of Arkansas." Anybody here from Arkansas? Whooping! Great place. In 1971, I headed to Fayetteville, Arkansas with my single suitcase and a promise from my father that he would figure out some way that I could stay in school for a year. Well, I liked it in college. It's a lot of fun. So I ran a few little businesses to help pay for the rest of my college. I had a nursery school in my backyard in the summers. I sold photos that I took of kids. Of course, if I did that today outside of schools, I'd probably get arrested, you know. But back then, it was okay. And I taught swimming lessons and, of course, worked part-time jobs. And I remember orientation. Of course, I hadn't been thinking about go to school, so I really didn't have any idea what I wanted to do. But there was a dean there, Dean Hardy, and he's the dean of the Ag Ryan Home Ec. And he said, now you women out there, this is at freshman orientation, he said, you need to be in my college because if you're going to work outside of the home, you need to make sure you know how to take care of your home and family first. Okay, well, anyway, you can tell what the time was back then. I listened and I thought, well, that makes sense. And I also found out in home ec you could have more elective hours so you could take any class you want. And I figured, well, that's just right up my alley. So took 4.5 years and got that grade point over that 2.0 so I could graduate. And I have my home ec degree. So you can see why I'm intimidated by all you folks. One of my favorite classes in college was speech. And I still remember, I don't know where the quote came from, but I used it in practically every speech I gave through all those classes I took in college. But it was something like, celebrate you. You're worth celebrating. In the world, there's only one you, with your talents and your dreams, your thoughts and your ideas, and your expectations. And if you think about it, that's what you're embracing. That's what you're teaching to all of the students that go through entrepreneurism. You're letting them know that even though their dream might sound a little crazy to their parents, that they have the right to have that dream and they can make it happen. It would have really been awesome back in that time of my life to have understood that I was just sort of a classic type A personality, perfect entrepreneur, couldn't keep focused, had all these crazy ideas. But I could always hear a little voice inside of myself say, you can do it. Oh, go ahead and try it. You won't look too foolish. Just go ahead and give it a try. Or have friends that would say, go on. I think you can handle it. In fact, today, I'd like to introduce you to a great friend that's in the audience. Cindy Ferguson, will you stand up? Cindy was a voice that helped me start my very first business when Cindy was a young mom, a nurse, and with an 8-week-old baby. She said, if you start a real estate company, we were in Russellville, Arkansas at the time, she said, I'll quit my nursing and I'll join you and we'll start a real estate company. So Cindy, I'm glad to have you here today. I love you. So a single comment, a single word of encouragement can make a difference in somebody's lives. And I bet each one of you have great stories to tell where you've really encouraged somebody. Ultimately, over the years, I've had 3 businesses. As I mentioned, the first one that Cindy sort of pushed me lovingly into was real estate. I was working for another real estate company, but I was pretty rich back then. I had $587 of my own money. And now that's a lot of savings back in 1971. Used all of it, bought some plywood, and we stenciled that piece of plywood sort of in an arch, and then we stenciled wheat on it. Wasn't that fortuitous? And we called the company Concept One. And we had bartered office space. Johnny King, the doctor in town, let us, if we would rent this office building for him, he would allow us to have a free office space. And so we rented our desks, $3 a month, and our chairs, $1.50 a month. And Cindy, my nurse friend, Sherry, a high school student, Faye, a doctor's wife, and myself, we were in the real estate business. Everybody thought we were crazy. Does anybody remember what the interest rates were in 1981? 18%, right, Jeff? You're exactly right. Now you know why people thought we were crazy. We were the only women-owned business in this great little town. And one of the things they do in a small town is they give you a chance to introduce a new business that might start. And in this case, it was a big meeting. There were about 400 people in Arkansas Tech University's room, and we got a chance to introduce to the community in a 30-second commercial our business. Well, how are we going to get a point across where people are going to, think highly of our new real estate business? What are we going to do? Well, I believe it was Cindy's idea. We went to the local nursing home. We got some white straitjackets. We all put them on, and we went up on stage. And then we sang a little song. And for those of you that aren't old enough to remember this, there used to be a real estate company called Century 21. And they all wore these real classy yellow polyester jackets. You remember them? And there was a song that went, we're taking off our jackets, we're rolling up our sleeves, we're Century 21 or whatever. Well, we just changed the words on that. And we went up in front of everybody in our white straitjackets, and Cindy and Sherry and Faye and I, We just say, you know, we're taking off our jackets, rolling up our sleeves, we're Concept One, and we're here to please. We have new ideas for your real estate needs. We're not crazy, are we? And guess what? We grew that little real estate company real good. Moving on, let me set the stage for the time for getting into the restaurant business. With going back to 1986, Ronald Reagan was president. Who was vice president? Bush, right? Top movie was Out of Africa. Fox News went on the air that year, and a little TV talk show started in Chicago. What was that TV talk show? Oprah Winfrey. The Iran-Contra affair went public, and the Challenger exploded. At home, I was facing a crisis of my own. I found myself divorcing with 3 little boys, ages 1, 3, and 5. You think those housewives on TV are desperate? They did not hold a candle to me. I had to figure things out very quickly. As you know, with your friends in the real estate business, that's very much a nights and weekends business. I had some customers by the name of the Feuerhahns, Gary and Madeline. They had a very light work week. They had a quality family life and great income. They were the local McDonald's franchisees. I learned from them how to apply to become, I didn't even know. I mean, growing up like I did, I had no idea you could buy a McDonald's. Hello, I couldn't believe it. And that year I applied, there were over 38,000 applicants. And in the system, there were 28 women owner-operators. This is in 1986. And without exception, they had all inherited them from their deceased spouse. So when I went into those interviews, they would look at me and say, what makes you think you can run a McDonald's? I mean, here I was, divorced mom, 1, 3, and 5-year-old kids, and I'm like, I can do this. I'd never worked at a restaurant before. But I answer back, these are working girls' hands. I can do this. And not only that little voice inside of me, but Cindy and all my friends and my family, you can do this, you can do this. Because my goal was to find a business where I could have more time with my kids. Do y'all know anything about buying a McDonald's? Do you imagine I had more time with my kids? Well, in order to get a chance to buy one, you have to become a registered applicant. And what that means is you get to work for free in a McDonald's. Open, close, midday, every shift, every position. You learn how to fix the equipment. And then if you succeed, I was going to say survive, but succeed is probably a better word. You don't get paid while you're doing this, but at the end of that time, if you've passed all of the little tests along the way, you get a chance to go to Hamburger University, where you have to pass with better than a C. And then I did, and so I was very proud to get a chance to own a McDonald's. I loved living in Russellville, and I didn't know I was going to have to move to own my McDonald's. So I'll tell this story for you, Mike, because you like this, but this is a true story. Got approved, got ready to have to go move to close on buying my McDonald's, and literally was scared to death. It was taking every single penny I could beg, borrow, and steal to put down. And the morning I was supposed to load the last U-Haul truck to drive north, I called Cindy and I'm like, I can't do it. I can't leave. I was leaving to go 13 hours away in a U-Haul truck with my 3 sons to move into one of those rent houses. You know, the kind where the boys flush the commode while you're in the shower, all the cold water goes down the toilet and you're scalding, so and that was it. But I'm thankful that I did. As a franchisee, I learned a lot. I became the butt of many a joke, and one of those jokes turned out to be very favorable for me, because the men in my co-op voted to put me on the bun committee. Anybody ever been asked to get on the bun committee? Well, the bun committee It was a committee that audited the bakeries for McDonald's. And so once a quarter, I got to leave my restaurant, get off my feet, that was a good thing, and go to these meetings and learn about flour prices in Russia and sesame seeds in Guatemala and all kinds of great things. And through that experience, I saw these bakeries around the world. I would see bakeries, and I would see professional employees. They weren't 16 years old like the majority of my workforce. And then when I learned that McDonald's needed to build another bakery to manage supply, and they didn't have any women suppliers, that had my name all over it. So I will say that McDonald's didn't get as excited about the idea as I did to begin with. It took them a while, 4 years, 32 interviews. It took them a while to figure out I was the right person to become their new supplier. But the challenge and the dream of being one of the 89 dedicated suppliers to McDonald's, to own a factory with professional employees, that was exciting to me. During that time, as an owner-operator, it was really hard to be patient. I will say that, you've probably worked with people that have left one entrepreneurial gig for another one. It's hard to sort of let go, and letting go of those restaurants, they were profitable, but the idea of starting a bakery company and perhaps becoming an international supplier was a very big dream. In 1997, all the persistence paid off, and I opened the Tennessee Bun Company. It was, at the time, the most automated bakery in the world. 11 people to make 1,000 buns a minute. A lot of buns. And we served a portion of 7 states. Today, the bakery business has grown. If you have a Big Mac in the southeast U.S. or in the Caribbean or Puerto Rico, it's made by our bakery. If you order a KFC snacker, we make the bun. If there's a bun on your plate at Chili's, you're supporting our company. Nashville Bun, our second bakery, makes English muffins, and those delicious gourmet Wolferman's English muffins, if y'all have ever had those. Anybody had those? They're good. And it served Pepperidge Farm in 40 states, the whole East Coast for Chili's, Perkins, U.S. for Sheetz, Bob Evans, and most recently, O'Charley's. Y'all ever eaten at O'Charley's those little soft dinner rolls that you sit down and they give you for free? We make those. I was 2 sizes smaller about 2 months ago. We only started that about 8 weeks ago. We vertically integrated by adding Bun Lady Transport. Our trucking company have 80 trucks, serve French fries and meat across the country for McDonald's. We've got 2.5 acres of freezer space, bigger than football fields. And we use about 850 million sesame seeds a year, but who's counting? Last year, our little company did over $55 million in a year, and as you can imagine, we're terrifically excited. The reason for the success of this business has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the can-do people, the friends that I've surrounded myself working with, our management team, and the hourly employees. As I mentioned, we're 10 years old today. When we started, 10 years old in April this past year, as we celebrated our 10th anniversary, we were proud to have 26 of the 35 original employees still with us. In the early days, we would have to reward our employees with crazy things like washing their car and cooking them food and doing simple things to let them know we appreciate them. Today, we're more able to give cruises, trips, cars, fine pay, and nice bonuses. I'm proud to say that 15 of my previous employees and friends have become McDonald's franchisees. Cindy, my girlfriend sitting over at the table, she owns 12 in Austin. You go, girl. And I think Aren't you buying 3 more this year? Yeah, so she'll have 15 this year. I'm going to have to get a loan from you. And all of her children have become franchisees as well. So it's been a thrill for me to help others become an entrepreneur. There have been others that have gotten into other businesses that I've helped support, but the McDonald's franchisees, they've got my heart. And they buy my buns. Self-serving, right? We feel like it's really important to give back to the community, and we're not only involved in local community activities, but 16 Ronald McDonald houses around the southeast U.S., which is a home away from home for children that are sick for their parents to stay. And the joy of my business is really helping other entrepreneurs get started. And I keep on a weekly basis or a monthly basis about 10 entrepreneurs that we try to help get launched, and they get going, and then we start on some others. That's a real thrill, because unlike what you offer to entrepreneurs today, some of us didn't have the thrill of your wisdom and your education. I just think it's such an awesome organization, and I love to see you all network, because one sentence you make to somebody can make a difference in them getting to live the American dream like I have. And that's a lot of responsibility, and it's a lot of thrill on your part, I'm sure. One of the things you need to be sure and tell these folks is that they've got to take time to enjoy their business and what they've created. I will tell you that, honestly, just this past year, is the first time that I've sort of gone, okay, well, maybe we're not going to go broke. That constant, did you buy 2 boxes of paper clips or 1? We only need 1, being scared about the money. That's a scary thing. But this past year, I did take time, and my husband, who was my CPA and has now been my husband of 10 years, and I went around the world, and that was exciting. In addition, as you already know, Jeff told you that we got a call on a Friday afternoon at 5:30. Our legislator said, are you going to be in town? We want to bring a guest to your bakery next week. I said, okay, no problem. Well, you need to be there. Well, I can't. I'm going to be in Puerto Rico. We're starting up that market. Well, you need to be there. And so I said, well, look, let me know for sure if they're coming, and who is it? Well, we can't tell you. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, I was joking with the people and said, hey, if it's a president, I'll stick around. And they said it is, and I was like, you're kidding. So within a few hours, literally, they sent the advance team from the White House to Nashville, and they stayed with my husband and I for the 4 days leading up to the visit. And believe me, if you walk through the bakery, you're the only thing that didn't get painted. Everything got painted. We put new flowers up. It was crazy. And it was such a thrill the morning that he came. And I've got a little, very quick, 2-minute video I'd like to show you, because you'll get to see one of the insides of our plants. And is that okay with you? Would you like to see it? Okay, great. So you can't, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or whatever, to have all that Secret Service and all those machine guns and all those people there, it's a thrill. So let's turn this thing on. Sorry, I can assure you that it was the thrill of a lifetime for me and the employees. You saw the gentleman, the tall gentleman standing next to the president. He had lived in a refugee camp with dirt floor for 4 years. And to be here and working and have his family here, those that are still alive with him, and then get to meet the President of the United States, which saved his wife and kids, it brings tears to your eyes. It was a thrill. I am living the American dream, and I thank each one of you for the words and the encouragement, the teaching and the training that you do to help other entrepreneurs realize their dreams. Thank you so much for letting me be with you today, and I hope as you're running around San Antonio and as you head back home after this terrific conference, that every time you go through that drive-through window, you tell that cute little person in the front, when you're giving them your money, you say, "I sure do like your buns." And you tell them that you're a friend of the bun lady, okay? Did you see my buns, Jeff?
I want to hug her right now. But instead, I'm going to give her a small token of our appreciation. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'll take them off. I'll take them off. Well, thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you very much. Oh, yes. Did you see this? This is beautiful. Thank you. I'd love to answer any questions that you may have.
We have some microphones here. If you could step up.
Any entrepreneur questions for me or Cindy?
Here we go.
I wanted to ask you about HACCP and the challenges of HACCP with increased food security today, probably more than ever before. And I know the industry is very much aware and being new, and HACCP's been around. And the public doesn't realize, in terms of food processing, the challenges that you're faced with every day, from metal detectors just to other foreign objects to making the product and what's involved, extensive technology. So if you could kind of talk a little bit about that and how you prepared yourself for the HACCP process.
The HACCP process has changed a lot in the last 10 years, and all of my plants are HACCP certified. It took us about 18 months to go through the process. We took training classes to learn what the inspectors would look for. If you come to any of our plants today, we lock down. You have to get through security in 2 places to get in, and we have to check IDs. You have to wear a badge. You have to be escorted. And it includes not only people that come in, but any ingredients, any trucks. The security is very, very tight. The HACCP process took a week of inspectors in the plant when the actual inspections took place to get us certified. And I believe it was like a 38-page report of little things that they had to see that we had been doing, the systems that we had in place to make sure. You know, we serve a lot of people that their brand is so important, and we can't afford to mess up where we could hurt their brand. So not only our plant, but every supplier to any of these big companies, McDonald's or Chili's or Pepperidge Farm, the detail is immense that you go to certify your people and your ingredients. And then when they go back out into the market, the locks on the trucks and the paperwork. If you ate a bun at one of Cindy's stores and there was a problem with it, she could call my plant 24 hours a day, and I would ask her one thing: what's the code date on the package that they were using at the time? And from those little numbers, I would be able to trace back all the way down to the time the flour was delivered to my silo, all the way back to when the grain was gone through the mill. You know, we can take every single ingredient and go all the way back to the farm, literally, in 5 minutes with that little number. So the detail's amazing. But thank you for asking about HACCP.
Listening to you explain your entrepreneurship experience, I was trying to see if I could figure out what it was about you that has brought you to the success level that you have experienced. It certainly wasn't capital, was it? You didn't have capital. You didn't have a lot of technical know-how.
Right.
Could you kind of share with us if you've done enough introspection
We're still trying to figure
yourself?
that out.
If you've done enough introspection of yourself to And without being modest, tell us what you think that has brought you to the level of success given where you came from.
I believe that the perseverance, I mean, how many people would apply for a job 32 times? Not too many. The perseverance. And then enthusiasm, too. I really like what I'm doing, but I think the tenaciousness of, I'm going to do that even when it looked impossible. Even when I had no money, no training, no reason it should work. I believe I would say and I believe that anybody could be at the same shoes I'm in today with perseverance and enthusiasm. Thank you. There's a second microphone. Yes, sir.
Sorry. You had mentioned something that I found interesting about leaving McDonald's and going into the bun company, of pulling away from something that you loved with McDonald's. And I get a sense that we do a really good job at teaching our students how to start up a business, but how do we do about leaving a business, that exit strategy? I've got a father-in-law who's 66 years old, and every year he says he's going to retire. He owns a small business. How is he going to move out of that? You moved out of McDonald's into this. Do you have a plan in place for that next step? You said you've taken a trip around the world and you've started to enjoy the fruits of your labor. What is the strategy? Have you given it much thought? And how would you suggest that maybe we go about doing a better job of helping those serial entrepreneurs figure out how to get in, get out, get in, get out, those type of things?
Okay, let me repeat the question. You need a comment on how to help you coach a serial entrepreneur that should be leaving one business and maybe going to
That's one part of it, but how did you go about I guess the basics of it is your exit strategy. How would you say that you did an exit strategy out of McDonald's, and are you preparing one for this company, even though it's 15, 20 years off? How do you prepare that, and especially when you're a dedicated supplier for such a large company?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll just repeat back. I understand. How would you recommend to somebody to leave one thing to go to the other? And what is my exit strategy on my business? Is that correct? Okay. And I think that my business today has outgrown me, to be honest with you. I have recently hired some very well-trained masters degree guys that understand all the nitty-gritty of running a manufacturing plant with this many plants, and we're building 2 more this year. So even today, when I was getting ready for this, I thought, I am such a loser. I have no business standing before these people. I barely got my arms around my deal right now because it's just growing. It's just growing. And so what they lovingly tell me is, go do the things you do well. And I'm like, okay, like what? Well, go give a speech, like get out of our way. So I'm going through that right now. I'm trying to figure out how I can still be a part of the people that I love doing business with and my customers and all that, and yet the business we'll be at $150 million within the next 12 months with the orders we've got and the plants we're building. And, my home ec degree never trained me for how to run these meetings like we're supposed to be running. So I think that at some point you have to help the entrepreneur know that they gave birth to this business, but it's a standalone business now. And for the good of the business, just like when they have a child that goes off to college, you sort of have to let go and let it become what it can be. And that's what I'm trying to learn to do with my own business now. Let it be what it can be, and I don't want to be a barrier for it. And I don't know if that's a very clear answer, but that's how I feel about my situation. And then as far as other businesses, an outsider is very good at looking at a business and sort of seeing the dynamics much better than somebody that's in the middle of it. And every single person, Cindy, my other friends, every time I've seen them change from one business to the other. Cindy ended up with her own real estate company, and then when I was in McDonald's, I'm going, come do this. This is so fun. It wasn't. My feet hurt all the time, but I thought, misery likes company. So anyway, she left a real estate business that was doing well, but she did so much better in McDonald's. So you've got a good entrepreneur, and maybe they've reached the limit of that one business. Encouraging them to change directions or to try something else, the chances are it will be far greater than the one that they're leaving. And that's always interesting for an entrepreneur. We're always thinking we can do things better and wanting to do things bigger and take more risk and try it. So I just say encourage them that, you know, let that go on and be what it is, or sell it or whatever, and try something else. Because chances are they've got 2 or 3 other ideas under their head anyway that they may want to do. I saw somebody else. There was a is a senior this year at the College of Charleston, and he is studying international business, and he is going to be, he'll take this company to being a really big company, and I am so excited about it. My middle son, Brad, that had to work in the business during his, between his college years, always wanted to be in the film industry, and today he had a stint for 3.5 years with country music TV station GAC TV, and he's now in Seattle trying to do a film. And I'm not financing that, so I don't know how much longer he's going to make it out there, but I'm hoping he'll come back. And my oldest son, Hunter, is my engineering type personality, and he will never lead a group of people because he's too black and white and very blunt about it. But he does a really good job. He's a lead person at the cold storage that we bought, which is our 2-acre freezer facility. And the trucks have to be in and out on time, and every pallet has to be in the right position, and he is in his element there. So I foresee one day that he'll own that facility. Tyler will probably take the business, the bakeries themselves, and go, I've spun off a small bakery, a frozen dough bakery, to my brother who worked for me. He's 14 years younger, and I made him president, and he will be owner of that. I've got a couple of key employees that I've got little businesses that I've told, you know, that in my succession plan, they will own, I mean, when I either get out of it or die, they'll get it. And so I'm trying to take care of some key people and some, but the boys, they're great. Thank you very much. Have a great conference. Thank you. Oh, sorry, we've got one more question.
Just had one final question for you. Going back to the days where you were kind of insane with the real estate business with your friends, when you started the business and you did the crazy thing with your real estate friends, I was wondering, when you started that business, did you have a business plan?
Did I have what?
Have a business plan.
I didn't hear what she said.
Did you have a business plan?
No.
Okay.
I didn't even know what a business plan was.
Okay, that was my assumption, but I figured I'd ask you.
Yeah.
Now, when you started when you decided to work with your friends, did they have different strengths and weaknesses, or did you just kind of decide, they're my best friends, we're all going to do this together?
Well,
who did what?
Okay, I had all the money, remember? $600. And not only that, I had more experience. I was a broker, and one of the key motivators for me starting it is I was working for a company called Realty World, and the man, I was going to buy some land. I was going to move into an apartment complex that I was going to build. So I wanted owner-occupied, no money down. And he wanted me to pay a commission to him on property that I found and I was buying and I was going to build on. And so that was a motivator. And then sort of, you know, I started talking about it, and, you know, and then literally had, you know, Cindy was sort of pushing me, going, yeah, if you do it, I'll come too. And we thought, okay, this is sort of fun. You know, we got barter for the office. The office was free. And, you know, he didn't even think about the risk, the liability, what we were going to do next month. And Sherry, who I'm still in very close touch with, is a teacher. She was our assistant. She was our 17-year-old high school $3.50 an hour person that I'd always look around the corner of my desk and go, what are you doing? You know, like, you better be busy, $3.50 an hour. And so she I can't even remember what I was going to tell you, but, you know, oh yeah, I know what it was. She would always say to me, can we talk about which bills we're going to pay this week? You know, because we didn't have any money, and it was sort of like, you know, the paper, you'd call the newspaper. I'd say, we've got to pay the newspaper because we've got to run an ad. This is before, you know, internet and all that kind of stuff. So we sort of begged, it took a few weeks till we got some money in, and, I think we ended up having a really big company, and a lot of closings in a year, but you've got to understand, back then in Russellville, Arkansas, an 1,800 square foot house on an acre of land with a 2-car garage was $37,500. We sold a lot of houses, but it was not a whole big bang of money. I'm so thrilled to be here. I'll be here tonight. I'll be having fun with you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do. Here, you were supposed to introduce me. What's this? It's got my name on it. What does it say? Okay. I've got a beautiful vase here with my name on it, and I'm going to hear what this is about.
And I've given it to her because it's crystal, and I'm petrified of dropping it.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love
and
it.
And she's not, because she's warmed up and she's had these on. On behalf of one of the divisions of USASBE, the Women and Minority Division, we'd like to present you with the annual award. We usually, every year, as part of the conference, we select a female or a minority entrepreneur. And when I saw the details and listened to you on NPR, I was completely blown away. So enjoy. Think of us when you put flowers in it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank